The Egg Ghost. Jinnah had always heard the stories of the Dalgyal Gwisin, the egg ghost, said to roam the countryside of Korea. It was a faceless spirit, a pale oval with no eyes, no nose, no mouth, and worst of all, no soul. The elders warned children never to wander too far alone at night, for once the egg ghost found you, it would follow until it consumed your essence, leaving you just as hollow as it was. She never believed the tales. That is, until she spent a weekend in her grandmother's remote village. It started innocently enough. Jinnah had taken a walk through the woods at dusk. The trees were tall and dense, and the air was thick with the scent of pine. She was lost in thought when she felt it, a presence, a chill that made her skin prickle. Turning her head, she saw nothing at first. But as the last rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, she caught a glimpse of something moving behind a tree trunk. A pale, rounded shape, too smooth, too perfect. It hovered just beyond the shadows. Her heart raced. "Hello?" she called out, her voice shaking despite herself. No answer. But then the shape moved again, stepping closer. It was featureless, a blank, egg-like head perched atop a human-like body draped in pale robes. The Dalgyal Gwisin. Jinnah's breath caught in her throat. Every story she had ever heard about this ghost rushed back to her. They said if you made eye contact with it, if it had eyes, you would be frozen, paralyzed by fear until it devoured you. She turned and ran. The woods seemed to close in around her, branches scratching at her arms and face as she sprinted, her heart pounding louder than her footsteps. She glanced behind her. There it was, gliding soundlessly over the ground, always just a few paces behind. No eyes, no mouth, but she could feel its empty gaze piercing into her back. The village lights were just ahead, flickering through the trees. She pushed herself harder, her legs burning, but it was too late. The egg ghost was upon her. Jinnah screamed as an icy hand gripped her shoulder, pulling her back. She stumbled, falling to the ground. The faceless head loomed over her, and in that moment, she felt it. A pull, like it was draining the very life from her, feeding on her fear, her soul. Desperate, she remembered the one thing her grandmother had once said. The Dalgyal Gwisin cannot stand the sight of its own reflection. With shaking hands, Jinnah grabbed her phone from her pocket and turned on the front-facing camera. She held it up, pointing it at the ghost. For a second, nothing happened. Then the air around her shifted. The ghost let out a soundless wail, recoiling from its own image, its body twisting and contorting as if in agony. It backed away, fading into the shadows. Jinnah didn't wait to see where it went. She ran the rest of the way back to the village, collapsing at her grandmother's door. She never spoke of the encounter, but from that night on, Jinnah never doubted the old tales again, and she never ventured into the woods at dusk, for she knew the egg ghost was still out there, waiting for the next soul foolish enough to look its way.